therefore, when you hear TED Fund, you know we're talking about an agency that has been impactful on the tertiary institutions and the good of the country. For you, TED Fund Research Fair and Exhibition, how do you describe the socio-economic impact it's going to have on the national level and on the global scale?
Well, yeah, thank you very much. You know, TED Fund is a household name in Nigeria, particularly to tertiary institutions, and most especially to public tertiary institutions, federal universities, state universities, federal polytechnics, state polytechnics, federal colleges of education, and state colleges of education. So the crux of the matter is that for many years, over 10 years or so, TED Fund has been mandated to support these institutions to function properly so that they can be able to, just as you say, affect the socio-economic development of our country and possibly brand Nigeria as a knowledge nation internationally too. And over the years, TED Fund has seen the huge improvement in the performance of these institutions. We are producing far more professors who have to research to get promoted. We're producing far more PhDs in our country through these institutions who have to do fantastic research projects to qualify, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, all that pool of knowledge that is coming out of these institutions and the capacity that is being built, along with the infrastructure, the laboratories, the workshops, the libraries that are being established using the energy of resources of TED Fund, poverty in Nigeria is still too high. The youth of Nigeria is still facing unemployment. You know, primitivity in our rural areas is still there.
True.
So TED Fund said, look, anywhere in the world, it is knowledge that changes these stories. And here we have blooming knowledge, seemingly, on the surface. We have the capacity, the numbers of people with professorial and PhDs, right? Our infrastructure is functioning because of that. Why is the knowledge not affecting these people? So this research fair is now one of the strategies of TED Fund to say that, hey, this team of experts made up of 9 professorial people, please help us milk all these institutions, find out what they've been researching on. Out of this pool of the research outputs, filter the ones that are practicable, that are manufacturable, that are scalable, and showcase it to Nigerians. And then do everything you can do to create an environment of marriage so that young people can come there. They will see technologies that possibly can be able to engage them, and then they get employed and they become entrepreneurs. Funding people will come there to see the possibilities of making more funds by engaging young people on technology. You know, the industry will come there to see technologies that can actually improve their performance so that they can employ more Nigerians, create more wealth, and affect the socio-economic. So the whole fair is literally this. So the committee is now going to filter all these technologies at Eagle Square, and then we have spoken to all these people to come. They will look at it, and then we'll glaze the marriage by bringing the intellectual property people, the legal people, the branding people, the business management people, and so on and so forth. So this literally is the energy of this fair as planned.
Okay, so technically we mean it's going to bridge the gap between research, innovation, and market.
That is exactly the aim.
All right, let's look at in terms of those who would qualify for this research fair and exhibition. We know some persons would have carried out some very, very strategic researches in the last 20 plus years and never had this opportunity that TED Fund is giving to them. How are you going to ensure that you get the best minds, the best researchers, and you know, bring them together without losing out on some very strategic because of proximity and other factors?
Well, you see, our strategy certainly is that we ask this question: where are we going to get these things? How are we going to get these things? How will we talk to all these people, old, young, new, and so on? How? So we brainstormed and came up with a very, very effective strategy by designing a questionnaires on a portal, dedicated. Participation is free. The form is there. You can fill as many forms as you like. Immediately you click TED Fund, the National Research Foundation, nrf.tedfund.gov.ng, right? Okay. Once you do that, it take you to the portal. Now we divided it into 2. Certainly, those people that you see in pantakers, or people who are working in their houses, or these men that you see who are creative, making lanterns that are shining and so on and so forth, are different from the organized research in universities and so on. So we made two forms. The organized system, universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, click on this and fill them. And then a simpler format, these ordinary people can also fill. We pull all this together and summarize the whole data into a pool, and then we go through a screening process. Remember, the index is not for you to come and show us that you are smart or you are intelligent at the fair. That is not going to affect the socio-economic culture. True. We want to see something that is polished, either concluded or just need a tiny little bit of tweak, and it is usable. Whether it is okra slicer or a gosi cooker or a pounding yam device or software that can be able to be utilized by small hospitals or primary health care facilities, or maybe a bicycle pumping machine or some medicinal thing through tea, all these things can come in, right? Once we filter it, these are the candidate ones, and we'll talk to the people. Do you have a video? Do you have a picture? So that we don't think that you are just telling us a story. We will visit them to go and see these things. It is on the basis of this that we are going to now sample all these, call them to Abuja this year. But that's not the end of the story. Hopefully, TET Fund is trying to build an institutional maturity for Nigeria to also be able to produce what it is, produce technology that you can use to employ your people. So it will continue.
Okay, because that was going to be my question, the fact that in this fair and exhibition, are we going to be looking at things that will make us still import more technology from outside the shelves, or things that are going to be produced locally? Let's look at the challenges faced in this sector, this creative industry, for the exhibition and fair. Would there be any form of support? And in terms of, you did classify those in the schools, the artisans, and those that are already manufacturing. What of those who've got lofty ideas but are yet to bring them to fruition, but with minds like yours who can see beyond what is written, bringing it to life? Is there opportunity for those?
Well, I think the bandwidth of creativity is very wide. There are people who are just smart. They can tell you and give you ideas that are winning. There are people that have thought out through these ideas and come up with some kind of skeletal idea. There are people who have gone through very, very deep, and they have even produced a crude prototype, tested it, and you can see it working. There are even lucky ones that have gone through some kind of support, and they've refined it up to a level. For now, for 2024, we're looking at this end. We want to see things, you know, when you start with a very strong energy, but without throwing the others. We've opened the platform. We said, if you have something that is useful now, we want to see that these things can be taken up by young people or women group or a non-governmental organization or an existing business or industry right away, or maybe by just doing a tiny little bit of shake-up. You know, this is what we're focusing on, but it is open. You know, so the strategy is not as tight as people think. But the challenge, as you started with, is, you see, Nigerians are beginning to get used to exhibitions. You know, universities, they do exhibitions. When Society of Engineers are having their conference, there is an exhibition. When architects are having their conference, there is an exhibition. Raw Material Research and Development does exhibition. Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation will have them. So people are used to exhibitions all over. But they are not seeing this linkage. You know, this is not that type of exhibition. This is the linkage exhibition. This is an exhibition of exhibitions, so that we do not want you to come and just showcase that you are smart. If you want to show the smartness, wait for Expo. When Ministry of Science and Technology have their own yearly, you can go and showcase and describe things and show that you are a very intelligent person. But this TET Fund National Research Fair is a fair for exhibiting things that are real, that can actually affect the life of Nigerians instantly.
All right, talking about professional bodies coming into the picture, like the body of engineers you mentioned, Corinne and others, would there be specific opportunities for them? Because if they decide to come as a body to present a specific innovation, would they be having some preferences? And do you think they would make it more complicated?
Well, as far as we are concerned, the professional bodies can come and provide services. In addition to, if you have something to exhibit, you know, marriage of this nature is the foundation for industrialization. The reason why we're a poor country is because we have not industrialized. We are not producing what we need, and we are not producing it on the volume that we require, at the quality we require, to sell at the price we require. You know, this is what we're trying to nurture. So Nigerian Society of Engineers have been invited to come as a professional body. Maybe there they can see the device that is close to finishing, but you can get experts in that to help in polishing this up. That linkage is there. Koren is there because it's a standard, you know, they can do. Standard Organization of Nigeria has been invited. NAFDAC has been invited. MDE has been invited. The SMEDAN has been invited. So all these institutions whose mandate or whose efficiency depends on technology are all invited to come and actually see what is happening in Nigeria so that they can be able to push it forward and support Mr. President to achieve his renewed hope very quickly.
All right, in terms of this is happening in the Federal Capital Territory, we're looking at the issue of domesticating such lofty ideas and initiatives across the 36 states of the Federation as a way of ensuring that everybody gets the opportunity to showcase what they can offer. Is the TETFund is a committee looking at that possibility?
Oh yes, this one is this one is the first one. So it's easier to come to Abuja. Eagle Square is available, and we can be able to showcase it and showcase to Nigerians that this is possible. By next year in 2025, we will start with zonal exhibitions, and then we will have a finale at Abuja. Possibly as we go down, you may even run down to having it in each state to make sure that you harvest very creative products and innovations at the state level, and you gradually build it up. But the whole strategy is open to all Nigerians, and this is not a one-off. You know, we're trying to gradually build an institution that can mature so that we can be able to take our country to the highest level.
All right. In terms of the 6 geopolitical zones, we know that every sector or every region of the country seems to have its own fair share of strength in terms of human resources and natural resources, like the Southeast, where we know that in Aba already there's mass production of goods and services. How do you intend, is there going to be a technical tele-guide for each person or each region to say, we know you're strong in this aspect, can you bring such development so that every sector of our national life, like in the health sector, manufacturing, and all these sectors, feel the impact of this very laudable initiative of TETFund? Yeah.
Well, you see, the beauty about technology is that it's free-flowing, right? There's nothing that stops a young man who is a chemical engineer or a chemist in Enugu graduating, or in Owerri, Imo State, graduating with flying colors, is very practical with chemistry, but has come up with an innovation on turning leather. Yes, in Enugu they don't produce leather. Leather is produced in Sokoto and Kano and so on and so forth. You see how the marriage will come. Technology is in a fluid. You know, the only thing about this committee is that if you have technology, bring it out, and you can be able to take advantage of the opportunities in our country anywhere. So yes, there are, in terms of products, and particularly agriculture, for example, okay, there are certain zones that will, these are root crops, this oil palm and other tree crops, this cocoa and so on, granules and other cereals, yes. But technology can come from anywhere, and it can take advantage of all these things anywhere. The idea is put technology to take advantage of our raw materials, both agro, solid minerals, or ICT, that is actually a service, and be able to take our country to the next level, just like any other country that is willing to move forward.
All right, still looking at the fair, in terms of how far, you talked about in 2025, more will be done to domesticate it across the states. In terms of bottlenecks, we know that you'll be working with some government agencies, some professional bodies. We know that in all this, there are likely to be those who would cause some kind of friction in terms of administrative bottlenecks and some getting responses from some government agencies trying to frustrate the effort. Is everything being put in place to ensure that those kind of hitches will be dealt with swiftly? Well,
you see, as a committee and in the leadership of these committees, the first thing you deploy in this time of circumstances is openness and fairness. Don't give anybody any added advantage, right? Secondly, yes, we know there are many people who are cynical. I mean, I was the National Coordinator of National Social Investment Program. You remember when we first launched the portal on N-Power, we got only a few because people didn't believe in it.
It was real.
But then when they saw that actually is working, is true, and some people have been attached, and the graduates are getting 30,000. The next time we opened the portal, we got nearly 20 times. And the third time we got, so these type of things in our country, yes, some people might get frustrated and they're fed up and so on and so forth. But we mean business. We mean business by ensuring that if we get this out, we will bring them and we will forge this marriage, and that marriage will be wealth creation amongst Nigerians, technology development amongst Nigerians, productivity among Nigerians, reduction of poverty amongst Nigerians, and literally showcasing our country as a productive and well-respected country cannot be a benefit to only one person. It is a benefit to all of us, and that is our critical intention.
All right. Of all this, the capitalist and the venture capitalists, like it's been put, and policymakers, they're very key in the success of this maiden edition. How much have you gotten in terms of, support in terms of venture capitalists and policymakers saying yes, they're backing this, and they see the vision of the TEDFund National Research Fair in the Exhibition Committee?
Well, you see, all these stakeholders, especially at this level of this first one, all you say you do, you get the information of these people, you talk to them, and then you visit them, you write a letter to them. We have discussed with MAN, for example, that is the apex group for all manufacturing associations of Nigeria. We have gone to the leadership of NASI, we've spoken to them. We have written to so many of these innovation hubs to get their interest. We've even visited the Abuja Innovation Hub here on the airport road, and they are so excited to partner with us to become a catalyst on actually how to jumpstart this kind of thing. The funders, we've written to the banks, we've visited some banks to encourage them on certain interest that they have in supporting Nigeria to be technologically also productive. We have invited non-governmental organizations to make sure that they can come and see the opportunities to make their work in Nigeria more efficient, and so on and so forth. So to us as a committee is the outreach, is the publicity, is the provision of information, and certainly is the creation of that environment and opportunity for everybody to jump into and then be able to successfully participate.
All right, one key factor we're looking at, because all this, we're talking about creativity, and also we know that creativity is something embedded inside, which is gotten better via your schooling. Let's look at intellectual property. What's the guarantee you're giving the innovators who will be coming to this fair that their property, intellectual property, will be protected and not gotten and used at the end of the day by some persons within the fair arena?
Well, again, as a committee, we have actually interacted with the IP community. Many of the IP communities, some are specialists in patents, some are specialists in design, some are specialists in trademark, others are good in educating inventors on developing their trade secrets. There are people who are very good in the creation of franchises as an intellectual property, and so on and so forth. We've spoken to all these people, and all we can do as a committee is to encourage them to come to the fair so that they can be able to say, this guy, you need help. You need help for protection. You need help for patenting. You need help to brand your product so that we can be able to design a fantastic trademark. It's for people to buy. Look, you need to keep mute on this because that is the secret of how you make that drink. And if you release the secret, everybody will be making the drink fake ones and so on and so forth. We might want to talk to you about packaging so that you can brand. If it is a machine, the painting should be crispy. It should be quiet. It should be shake. Engineers will advise you. If it is a drink, the packaging, So all these aspects of intellectual property, the stakeholders have been invited. Many of them we've discussed with them, and we hope they can respect Nigeria, respect the president of Nigeria, respect the president's policy, and be able to come so that we can work together to be able to lift our country to the next level.
For those who have already in the market, have produced things, but like you rightly pointed out, some the finishing is lacking, and so needs some technical advice. Would there be space for those who have been in the market but need that extra push to make it exportable?
You see, the idea with technologies at this level is that, just like you said, some are in the market but are not really commercialized. When you make 10 machines and their components are not interchangeable, you don't have a product in the market. You are just selling a device that is shaking all over the place. To standardize it and make sure that component A can fit in all these 10 machines cheaply, you need jigging, you need fixing, you need superior manufacturing capacity and capability. This is what we're bringing to the table at the fair. People can see the opportunity. I mean, if I bring a crude machine and I can get funding for somebody to help me to polish it up to the next level, of course it becomes a partnership. That is where the innovation hubs are very, very critical. They can now make certain small components very, very quickly using 3D printing, for example. They can be able to model things, soft modeling. You know, if you know how to build a innovative house that allows light, efficient heating and cooling and so on and so forth, and you come up with that idea to that fair. The Innovation Hub, they have, you know, computer-aided design capability to be able to design even the house in full scale, look through it everywhere and advise you. So all these resources Nigeria has, but it's amazing how Nigeria is not utilizing it to make progress. So the fair is saying, gone are the days for you to sit in your island, in your pocket, just showcasing that you are Baba of what you do. Come out and be able to help this country to position itself properly.
All right, before we let you go, we'll go for a quick break. Let's look at the marketing aspect. We've talked a lot about, yes, the research, the innovation, the market part of it, and also in terms of investors and capitalists. The market itself, how big is the market, and how well can the TED Fund National, treat the research fair and exhibition play a role in ensuring that this market is made available for these would-be innovators?
You know, a country with over 230 or 50 million is an already ready market. And the Nigerian market is a consuming market.
True.
We like nice things. We're very trendy, and the swagger of Nigerians goes with consumption. Unfortunately, we're swaggering and consuming products of other people.
True.
It means if you take your money out to another country, you are exporting prosperity. If you are importing their products into your country, you are importing poverty, because you get used to things that are not yours. We want to reverse the trend. We have the knowledge, we have the institutions, well supported by TED Fund. It is working and performing. It's high time that we now produce, power ourselves, and even take advantage of others. There's no reason why every child in this country cannot go to school. Doing that means they need books, they need shoes, they need uniforms, and so on and so forth. All these are products that can actually be manufactured in Nigeria. That is the market. There's no reason why we cannot say every child in Nigerian basic education can drink 1 glass of milk per day. This is millions of cows, milking systems, storage systems, refrigeration, pasteurization. This is all technology and jobs. There's no reason why you can say that every child in Nigeria cannot have a piece of chicken or meat in a meal per day. This is huge in terms of industry for goats and sheep and cow. There's no reason why a Nigerian child cannot have an egg per week for his own growth properly. This is enormous amount of poultry industry, the feeds, the housing. So this is how Nigerians should, but you cannot be able to do this without technology. And that is what this fair is all about.
Right, this is going to be the last question before we go for the quick break. And let's see, TED Fund, they're connecting all the dots. How important is this TED Fund's connecting all the dots of our national lives? How important is it for the sustainability of this TED Funds Connect?
Well, with the team we have, and certainly as we grow and we learn and we start achieving the objectives of this fair, you know, the intellectuals and the expertise we have in the major committee of the National Research Fund, you have between 40 to 50 professors of the highest level only in one committee. So building that capacity and continuously brainstorming and sharing ideas on this marriage in a fair, in my opinion, TED Fund has indicated that it can only get stronger on this. It will not weaken. And that is an index of sustainability.
All right, you never want to let him go when we're talking national issues. This kudos to TED Fund, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, doing great things for Africa's biggest black nation, Nigeria. We'll be going for a quick break. Before we do want to say a big thank you to Engineer Omar Bendri, the chairman of the TED Fund National Research Fair an exhibition, and a lot of good things are coming to Africa's biggest black nation. And let's go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be having another guest join us as we focus on TEDFund, connecting all the dots for national development. Stay with us. Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians, we are the Canaan, because
that this country gets it right.
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the
Can
Palestinians,
we
we
say
are the
that
Canaan,
again?
because
That this country gets it right.
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching The Desk on Global Television. Today, a very important and special edition as we host the TEDFund Research Fair and Exhibition. We're looking at the socio-economic national impact / global impact on the country. just gone by is discussing with Engineer Umar Bendri, the chairman of the TEDFund National Research Fair and Exhibition. Now we're talking with Professor Hayward Mafue, who is the chairman of the TEDFund National Research Fund Screening and Monitoring Committee to help us look at the bigger picture. All right, I want to say thank you very much for joining me in the live studios.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
All right, this is the committee that instituted the subcommittee where Engineer Umar holds sway. Let's look at the bigger picture.
Right.
What was in the minds of the screening committee and monitoring committee when this, subcommittee was set up?
So thank you very much. The subcommittee was constituted when it emerged. We saw the evidence that TEDFund had been funding research works in tertiary institutions, the beneficiary tertiary institutions, for quite a period of time now, to the extent that so much money has been spent, and we're aware that some products, candidate products, promising products, had been developed across the landscape, tertiary institutions landscape. And then we were mandated by the Executive Secretary of TEDFund to put this committee in place, and we were also asked to organize this research fair in November. That's just next month. And for all this, we have less than 6 months to do that. Now, the whole idea was that Mr. President had mandated that the economy should be grown, and it will need to be grown home-based. And we've now seen that there are very low-hanging fruits that have been developed. Okay. And therefore, the need for this kind of fair to be quite different from the traditional fairs we've been having, because we are thinking within the triple helix concept of the actors that are the academia, the industry, and the research community. So with that, it is clear that we have products that are ready for commercialization, products that are ready to be picked up by industry. But then there is this communication gap, and this kind of fair is now supposed to close that gap, to bring the actors together. And when we bring them together, and then that communication gap will be closed, because they will be in proximity, in the same place, and they can talk. You can ask your questions, and you can display your product. The person who has the money and is interested in your product, you can now discuss. And we are also bringing in other experts, like the intellectual property lawyers and experts and other such persons, to come and guide these processes, so that we don't get into the situation whereby very good products that are very relevant to our small-scale industries are left in some places, in storerooms, almost like we know the situation with our research works in the universities, where they're on the shelves. Now, we don't want to have another such equivalent here. We want to bring these things out quickly and make them cheap and affordable to grow the economy. So this fair is actually meant to address this thing in a very quick and practical way.
All right, you talked about the triple helix model of development, and also looking at the uptake of research outcomes as very key. In terms of when you merge these persons together,
right,
is that this deliberate action to ensure that it's not hijacked somewhere along the line?
It is deliberate, and it is deliberate because what we have seen and what is typical of our environment is that we tend to operate in silos, as islands, as individuals. That way, there is no synergy. And I'm doing this, you are doing that, and you don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what you are doing, and we may just be doing the same thing, repetitive, or even doing things that are not additive. So when you now have this triple helix approach, you have the industry, you have the academia and others coming together. Then they will now sit together and they will look at what you have. We hope that the investors will come and they will find something that is good for them and they will pick it if they are convinced, if you can demonstrate it. Because we're asking that these people will come with their products for exhibition that are at that level that they can demonstrate, so that people see it and know it and they know what they are trying to get into.
Do you think there will be issue of the time frame for this this fair and exhibition? Would there be a time frame? Because there will be some innovations that might not have that immediate impact for them to demonstrate. Is there, that's...
So I think the most important thing is that we are bringing them together in a way that it has not been happening in a very systematic way before. And this is the first such fair in this mode of organization. And so when we have done this, we are already looking forward beyond this to the next years on, where we have more time to do that, until it becomes a culture for us. And so the planning and all of that thing will be better taken care of.
All right. I noticed there are talks about looking into things that have to do with the products for the aviation and aerospace industry. Would there be a deliberate attempt to focus on certain areas, especially now that the country is crying about food insecurity and all that? Would there be some preference given to certain innovations in certain quarters that the country needs immediate attention?
I wouldn't put it that way. I think all sectors of the Nigerian economy are in need of this kind of intervention. Of course, obviously, on the minds of most Nigerians is security. Sure. So we are hoping that those who are into that aspect of it will bring things to help the government to combat the insecurity that is threatening our very existence. Of course, the insecurity is not just the insecurity to lives and property, but also you talk of food insecurity and such other aspects of the economy. So if you look at it, it touches on almost every aspect. You talk about the aviation.
Yes.
Do we have enough aviation fuel? Are there no alternatives to it?
Yes.
Even from biofuels and things like that? So that we don't, this whole idea that we're dependent on only one thing is not good for us. Because if that one thing does not work, then we come to a standstill. So, but there should be alternatives. And this kind of fair, people hopefully who have been working in that energy, clean, affordable energy section, hopefully will bring something to the table, and then we'll look at that.
Looking at TETFund and how far it has gone, are there some other lessons some other agencies can partner with TETFund to help also improve all these laudable initiatives they're taking already, taking a cue from all it took to set up this research fair?
So absolutely, TETFund has taken the lead and has become the major force in pushing these researches, but by no means the only agency. There are other agencies of government like the PTDF. They support capacity in human development. Some others give interventions for human capital as well, including research works, including laboratories and things like that. So I think TETFund has taken the lead, and the other agencies are invited to join.
Okay, let's look at the TETFund. We know they've trained over 40,000 lecturers and professionals in different fields, both home and abroad. How impactful has this been on the socio-economic, life of Nigeria and tertiary institutions across border? How has it affected students who have gone further to become better engineers, better innovators, and also improving the lives of their immediate community?
So basically, that has been hugely impactful. Simply going by the numbers, we are already up on that, because without that intervention, we probably wouldn't have had that number of high caliber professionals trained to the PhD level, some to the master's level, in some of the best laboratories and institutions in the world, so that our own competence is at par. And so what is needed after that is to come and create the environment back home, because we don't want to train for other countries. We want to train them to come back and work. So we provide that environment. And very recently this year, you would notice that TETFund, I chaired that committee also, had an intervention in all of the beneficiary public institutions, an intervention of about 25 billion naira to upgrade our workshops and our laboratories so that obsolete equipment is replaced with modern equipment, to better train the students that are going through it, to better do and complete researches that can become commercializable. And so TETFund is continuing in this excellent tradition that they have been doing, and they are just all the time increasing it. And we are very grateful to
for what Nigerians and Nigeria is benefiting due to the actions and laudable initiatives of TETFund, how key is it for the sustenance of the leadership of TETFund in pushing these initiatives ahead? And what should Nigerians expect more?
The leadership of TETFund is key. And it then means that those who are put at the helm of affairs in TETFund should be carefully chosen if we are wise as a nation. And I would pray that they are allowed to implement their mandate, which is very clear. It is usually interferences in that regard that may slow down or even threaten to scuttle. But as long as there is a continuous good succession plan in TETFund, we have seen that TETFund can have such huge impact on the nation's economy and human capital. So it's important.
All right, as we wrap up, still focusing on the research fair, in terms of research now, do you think there's also need for these researchers to also probably start grooming Nigerian youth students from even the secondary school level, so that by the time they get to the tertiary institutions, they have a broader and more better understanding of what research entails and how key it is for national development?
It is key to national development that right from primary school, not just secondary
school, yeah.
Science and technology are introduced as early as possible so that it becomes almost second nature to them. And that kind of introduction goes with also the provision of the laboratories and the environment. Now you see that children these days that are in primary school, in secondary schools, already know how to operate calculators, computers, and things like that. And also in secondary schools, they do science practicals and things like that. So they begin to get well trained, well educated, and if they move on to the university, and it's a continuing process of an upgrade on the previous one, you will now see that there's a smooth flowing stream that will produce not only the good scientists and engineers and all of that, but that will also bring out people that are naturally now interested to want to research into issues that they think they can get solutions to. After all, the whole essence of research is that there's a problem. It's a gap, and then there is a solution to that problem. And why not? Nigerians can do it. We don't need to go anywhere if the environment is there. And if there's the commitment from all stakeholders, the teachers being committed and staying on their job very well, it will work.
Okay, finally, as we wrap up, being the chairman of the TETFund National Research Fund Screening and Monitoring Committee, how huge do you expect it to be in terms of screening all the expected innovators and what innovations that will be coming your way?
So the job of this committee now is not just for the TED Fair, which is the immediate one. The main thing that we do is a 55-member committee of professors, some of them vice chancellors many times over, not just once. So what is there is that the government is committing such huge funds for research, and these are goal-oriented researches to address specific issues in our national economic development aspirations. It's not for you to do just any kind of research. So there are thematic areas to which you are called upon to make proposals in those areas that will answer one issue or the other that will help grow the economy of this country. It is huge that government is giving that money and that these people are brought together. We need to display an uncommon level of honesty, integrity, transparency. There's no politics. It's not about we need equity. It's not about equity.
It's about what
it is about what will work and work for the whole country. It's merit, simplicity.
All right, the final note, what will be your call to Nigerians, especially innovators, researchers, ahead of this TED Fund Research Fair and Exhibition that's coming up in November, so that they know that everybody is invited to contribute their quota and TED Fund is ready to lead the way?
My clarion call to Nigerians is that we heed the call of our government to patronize homemade products. If you look at it, there are so many things at the community level in our research institutes that have been developed, whether they are fish meal products or they are poultry products or they are other products to protect against pests and other organisms. They are being done on such a very wide scale within Nigeria. But we have this kind of unclean love for what comes from outside. We despise our own. So my call is that we should begin to have a greater intake of our own products that we have grown ourselves and strengthen the Naira, basically.
All right, I want to say thank you very much for joining us in the live studio. Thank you very much. And a special thanks to the leadership of TED Fund for the great job they're doing in repositioning Nigeria and changing the narrative, not just at the tertiary level, but at the national and sub-national level. I want to say a big thank you, especially with the new initiative that's coming up with TED Fund Research Fair and Exhibition. So we hope that will come in November, and that's TED Fund calling on all innovators, researchers to bring forth what they have that would be of national importance to all Nigerians. We also want to say a big thank you to our earlier guest, the person of Engineer Omar Pinduri, who is also the chairman of the TED Fund National Research Fair Committee, for all he has poured out this evening on the program. The desk. My name is Anthony Momodu. Thank you for joining me on today's edition. Let's do this again tomorrow.